You're watching The Business of Law, brought to you by Bloomberg Law and the ABA Journal. I'm Lee Pacchia. There are a lot of economic headwinds facing the legal profession today, and it's no wonder that many industry commentators are expecting more large law firms to fail in coming months and years. Law firms, however, are fragile economic creatures, and when they fail, they tend to fail messy. Joining me now are two of the brightest minds when it comes to law firm bankruptcies. We have Joe Samet, head of restructuring at Baker McKenzie, and Al Togut, founding partner at Togut, Segal and Saget. Welcome to you both. Thanks for stopping by. Okay, let's start off by taking a look at the Dewey case. Largest law firm bankruptcy to date, and for the most part, it's all done. We have a confirmation order, but we also have some loose ends to tie up. Al, you represented Dewey in this case. Why did it move so quickly? I mean, this just, compared to the other big law firm bankruptcies out there, the Finley Cumbles, the Kudare brothers, this case moved right through the system. Why is that?
Well, I was involved in the Finley Cumble case. I represented the creditors committee, and I went on to be the trustee, and I've done several cases since then, and I learned. I had always been on the creditor side of a case and said if ever I had the opportunity to get on the debtor side of a case, I would run it in a dramatically different way. This was my chance, and we did something that, frankly, the major stakeholders couldn't relate to when they first heard it. But we sold each group on it, and they went along with it, and the result speaks for itself.
Joe, this was a relatively successful case, and you've worked in a lot of law firm bankruptcies, Finley Cumble for one. Can this model be applied to future law firm bankruptcies, or is this just a wonderful result of all kinds of positive circumstances?
Well, this is a very good result because of the high quality of professionals, the thinking of Al Togut and others to achieve a framework for a result and move it along quickly. It's possible to do it in the future, but it takes multiple parties to be working together, thinking together, and like Al did, think out of the box in putting this all together to deal with the major important issues that are there earlier rather than later.
And if I may say so, it'll be easier the next time because...
Why is that?
Well, we proved that you could do it.
What was different about this case? What did you do differently? Was it in how we handled the partner contribution plans?
Well, that's the key part of the case. I came up with an approach, spoke to all the parties in interest, explained to them it was actually in their economic interest to give partners a discount up front to get them to voluntarily contribute instead of having to chase after them. The Finley Cumble case, for example, the litigation lasted 20 years. We were done in 9 months.
Not bad.
So you save a lot of cost on legal fees.
Joe, is there a way that law firms can look at what happened with Dewey and look down the road in the unfortunate event that they're facing a failure scenario? Can they create something like a living will in order to avoid the long-term legal issues that can keep a law firm bankruptcy in a 2-decade-long process?
Well, I think law firms need to be well managed, that there needs to be reasonable disclosure about what partners are earning, what partners are contemplated to be contributing to the firm, and management needs to oversee all of this in an appropriate fashion. There needs to be good faith on all sides, and when there are issues, to reasonably solve them on an ongoing basis. Law firms don't usually think about bankruptcy and the what if, but to some extent they need to manage their receivables, manage their people, work together in a collegial fashion, and monitor the mergers and acquisitions that they work on over a period of time. There's a view towards expansion. Expanding offices, expanding internationally, expanding practice groups. They need to manage that in an appropriate way, taking into account market conditions.
Do you get the sense that more law firms are acting like Dewey, or are they taking the opposite approach in your sense?
I think there will be more Deweys. Who? I can't tell you, but I can tell you that the acquisition of practice groups and the acquisition of major rainmakers without really having everybody part of the same culture, combined with borrowing money so that you become indebted to lenders, is a recipe for there being many more of these firms that'll fail.
It sounds like you're saying that the problem is not just how they're growing, it's the inherent growth itself. It's not necessarily just a matter of guaranteeing contracts. It's a matter of culturally just putting so many different practice groups, so many different types of people together in such a quick amount of time that they don't have a cohesive law firm unit. Is that?
Well, it's two things. It's that, for sure. But there's also been a backlash against high legal fees. And there's been a contraction in our economy. So you put all that together, and you have reduced income, increased overhead, and a disjointed structure so that when there's a problem, the interesting thing about a law firm is that its major asset is its people, and the people go home every night. Mm-hmm. So if one night they decide not to come back to work because something bad happened and they have other opportunities, so they go to another firm, the thing implodes.
Right. That's what makes them so fragile.
Yes.
Joe, what do you think? In Q1, we saw a substantial uptick in M&A activity in and amongst law firms. Law firms are getting together and forming larger entities. Does that, in your view, presage more carnage in the law firm economic space?
It depends on the management of the growth. Growth can be a very positive thing. There are synergies, more practice areas, more people referring and cross-referring within the law firm from more clients, diverse clients. At the same time, if the growth isn't managed adequately and the existing firm doesn't support the new folks that come on in different offices, the same offices and new practice areas, then there can be a problem. So it's a management issue, and many of them are very successful in growing. There are some, though, where the cultures clash, where the management isn't adequate, the revenues don't match what people thought they were going to bring in, and then there are some dashed expectations.
It's a tough time to be running a law firm. Al, if you could talk to all the managing partners and law firm executives out there watching this program, what's the one thing you would recommend they do today to make sure they don't end up like Dewey?
Transparency. I think the largest problem in law firms today is that except for a select group of people at the very top, the rest of the people involved in the firm have no idea, none, of what's going on. In one of our cases, they gave themselves a name. They called themselves the Mushroom Partners. They said we were kept in the dark and fed an organic matter that I'm not going to repeat on TV, but I think that would go a long way towards avoiding the future collapses.
Joe, is that what it's all about? Is it transparency?
Transparency is very important. There are some firms which are quite transparent. There are some firms that are not. People don't know what the next partner is making on an annual basis. And some of those have succeeded. But transparency is very useful in some of the firms, and that has been, there's medium and large size firms out there that are fairly transparent.
Just in terms of closing, the bankruptcy code, how did it do in the Dewey case? I mean, are there any legislative changes you would like to see to the bankruptcy laws in this country to make life easier for people trying to restructure professional services firms like law firms?
Absolutely. The bankruptcy code was never designed for a large-scale professional partnership going bust. And on the subject of bankruptcy law reform, I'm co-chair of a national commission that's looking at that.
That's right, at the American Bankruptcy Institute.
At the American Bankruptcy Institute, and there are a lot of changes that need to be made. This is just one of them.
What would we change? Is there any bright line change that could be made to make a law firm have a snowball's chance in hell at successfully restructuring? Because as of right now, I don't think it's quite possible.
Well, in that sense, it's not different from other businesses. We stumbled into bankruptcy court in Dewey with just a staggering amount of debt, and the secured creditors controlled the case, and that's true for many corporate cases. So I don't know that it's unique to law firms.
I think the ABI right now is doing a thorough investigation and listening to many witnesses as to how to improve the bankruptcy system on a nationwide basis. And a piece of this may have to do with professional firms that are in trouble. Part of it is a marketplace situation in that when groups of partners start fleeing a professional firm, a law firm, and the like, they may be in breach of covenants in their loan agreements and the like. And so we need to take each case by itself. And there are issues out there that need to be resolved as a matter of law, including the subject of unfinished business.
Joe Samet and Al Togut, thanks so much for stopping by today.
Thank you.
Thank you.
If you'd like to learn more about the cases and issues we just discussed, be sure to check out our offerings on BloombergLaw.com and also on the Bloomberg Terminal. You can see more of our videos on YouTube, and you can follow our updates on Twitter. I'm Pacchia. Thanks for watching.